This is a gameplay review and feedback of two players, KorWEEEEEZY and Boom. We're playing some games together. Boom's come back from not playing 1v1 in a long, long time and has decided that he is going to be joining us. Back in the 1v1 world, and KorWEEEEEZY is a pretty decent player. You can see Masters player versus an unranked player here. There is some supply blocks that I see without going in anything, but we'll go into the game and we'll take a view. I have no idea what to expect other than I know these players a little bit. We play a lot of threes together. And these are a little bit better than my other shows. So here we go. We have KorWEEEEEZY in yellow. That's Terran. And Boom is going to be green in the bottom right-hand corner. All right. Usually, when I'm doing this, I'm looking to give feedback on gameplay. So you may see some discussion about build orders, things of that nature. With this one, I don't know if we're going to do that. KorWEEEEEZY grabbing a normal supply depot. I'm going to speed through this. There's nothing really too crazy going on in the beginning of the game. You can see normal production. These players are above the diamond level, or they are in the diamond area. So we're not going to be looking for anything that's too crazy with regards to what they're doing. Double gas open, usually reserved for either mech or reserved for some kind of cheese where you're going to do like a 3 Reaper rush, or BCs or something along those lines, right? Spooky mech. Those are the builds that you kind of look for when you see that. And then KorWEEEEEZY opting not to get an orbital, even though he has the money to do so, which is, in my opinion, a mistake. The reason it is a mistake is because you get more money through the duration that you're going to get via having that orbital versus those 3 SCVs. That being said, KorWEEEEEZY is a better player than I am. He might be following a very specific build order. And we're going to go to the other side of the map and slow down. Extractor trick to make it so he doesn't lose the drone as he tries to take his third location. This third location is always a question mark because it's very easy to elevator up and down with harassment because your queens aren't necessarily always in the best of place to handle that. Extractor trick again. Good job. Ling's going out, being annoying. Reaper's still hanging out. 2 kills already. Those were both Lings for those of you that don't know what to expect. Boom doesn't inject instead of his first creep tumor. I probably would have put a creep tumor here, or on the edge, and protected it with. Wasn't paying attention. Got the Reaper. But that way the queen can push there, and you don't have to put that many Lings in production. So that's, in my opinion, probably an overreaction with the number of Lings we have here. This is you only need about 4. Which you had originally, but you eventually will get up to about 20, and so you're undersaturated with it, but you're enough, but not quite. Like the timing of it's just wrong. Hi, Mathros, how you doing? Sorry for those of you that are not seeing this on the chat. I don't have logged in here. One of my viewers has jumped in on Twitch. I don't, as I said, normally I do this privately. It is going to be a mech build from KorWEEEEEZY. Blue Flame coming up. That's pretty good, powerful stuff. Supply depots in interesting locations. These are great for if you have a Nidus Worm or something that shows like in your base that you don't see. To place this supply depot over here so you don't actually have that problem. Idle workers, come on, KorWEEEEEZY. This is actually the most gas efficient you can be. It is only it's slightly more efficient. But you're going to be less saturated with gas. Hellions on the other side of the map running by. We have double queens blocking up. Evo chamber with a spine crawler behind that. Plenty of Lings to be kind of a pain, but not enough to be too worried here. Boom is not really doing any additional production while this is going on. So has a queen on the way, 2 queens on the way, but it doesn't have any drones or Lings or anything else under production. So this would be something that I would point out and say, hey, you want to be very conscientious that you have a lot of larvae, you have a lot of money, and you're not really spending it. He's going to go up to Spire, but doesn't pre-populate any of those gases that he has. Doesn't have another queen at his third. All those good things. So he's got lots of money that he has going up. The ability to use them, there's the saturation, but not necessarily always on top of it. On the other side of the screen, you have a tank going down, more mech continuously being produced, an armory. These are things that you would expect from a mech player. I would probably get a third command center at the same time, because you can only run 2 factories off of the current saturation, the current count, and getting that extra income earlier is very important for mech, which is why I would suggest doing that. A little bit of floating resources. I do know that he is... other side, because we actually have events going on. He is going Spire, so it's okay to not spend the money, but make sure he has the Overlord coverage here is very important. That creep tumor, I might have set it back here so that was an inactive one, and instead of losing your creep spread possibilities. I understand there's a lot of pressure, a lot of things going on. KorWEEEEEZY not really producing anything right now. It's starting to float. It has no floating resources. I am curious as to how that was happening. But nothing. Oh, supply block. That's why. We got Hellbat transforms. Oh boy, that's going to be real tough to hold until these mutas come out. So this is going to be really, really close. I can see it already. For those of you that missed, it's a 30-minute game, so this is not going to end here. Ooh, the run by. Almost the run by happens. Oh no. What a crazy... That's so good. And then that choke. Powerful stuff. Wheezy getting into the main. I don't see there's that many workers that went down. I didn't see the count before, but point being is not many. They did take out this natural... or third location, excuse me. Snagging tanks on the way. There's a Thor on the way. So this is... I like how he stopped moving the tank. But this is going to be real rough for Wheezy. He doesn't have anything to deal with this other than the one tank coming down. Just has an engineering bay. Idle workers. Going to lose a lot of workers here due to the fact that he has nothing that can shoot upwards. The Thor is out. Boom is very tight. Probably cancel that. Yeah, that's a good idea. You can see they're trying to repair. High impact because he's magic boxed. It looks like it's magic box. It's not a hard magic box. It just looks like a magic box. On the other side of the map, we have a couple Hellions going. The third isn't retaken. The money is there. The income's there, but nothing. He's trying to end the game right here, which I would probably take the time to make sure that you have secured the victory on this side. Queen's opening up this space, but you could easily have this as a third location as well. Creep not being spread at an aggressive rate, even though he has lots and lots of energy. Oh, gonna get that mule. That's 350 resources, I believe. 2 Thors out, takes out 8 mutas. Hope he doesn't do any more mutas. Oh, there's 6 more. So he needs to make sure that he avoids the Thor pretty much at all costs. Basically, get out of here. There's this is going to be a losing battle. Loses 2 of those mutas immediately. Focus downs the mule again. Great. Lose another 2 mutas. So cost effectively, not great. I probably would have avoided entirely going up here, seeing what you can pick off anywhere over here. Just like getting away from the Thors. Thors are slow, heavy units. They do not do a very good job of going from location to location as stuff occurs. Boom coming in, trying to kill more mules, which is great because they, again, are 350 minerals apiece. Those mules I probably would have been dropping in here myself, but, you know, each their own. We have on the other side the hatches going down. We have all the hatches going down because Boom realized he did not spend any money for basically ever. That would improve his MMR significantly if he could make sure that he doesn't do that. Everybody does it. Don't worry. I make that mistake, so not a big deal. But giving feedback, that's one of the things that I noticed is that you have a lot of floating resources and then you don't respond in a fight to doing anything with that. That was, for me, what made me really go from a plat player to a diamond player. Respreading the creep. There should be tumors coming down, which he is getting 2. He's got so much energy on these queens. The amount that I would be here is crazy. Pulls the drones, doesn't send them to a mineral line, so they get caught by all the queens instead of them pathing underneath. Slight adjustments, no craziness. Does protect the queens, but it's not like he doesn't have the energy to do transfuses. So I probably, again, try to click on a mineral patch or something along those lines. Not bad play, just something that I would look at. Has the money, has the ability, could probably go up on Hive, unless he's intentionally banking this much gas. Zerg is very much a mineral starved race, so at this point he might want to start pulling off a gas to try and rebalance until he's gotten himself back up. A Roach Warren against Thors, great. Against tanks, great. That's exactly what you want. He is playing mech. Has a third, but hasn't finished resaturating end, of course, because he's doing that. Doesn't want to open up additional lanes for harass and damage to occur. As you can see, there's all this is coming. You only have the 6 Hellions or whatever it is. 6 Hellions, 1 tank, and 2 Thors. You definitely don't want to have more surface area for your opponent to get in damage for you than not. Grabs in some repairs. Clutch, very, very close to losing one of those Thors. Loses 4 of the Hellions. Or, all 6 Hellions, excuse me. And has to replace. Swarm hosts. Ooh. So the question is, where's the Nidus Canal? Because the swarm hosts, they are very slow, very costly, and you need them. They don't need to be present to be able to do stuff. So you'd send a Ling or an Overlord out, another Ling or an Overlord out, another Ling or another Overlord out, and you just send them where you'd go here, send them into the main. Go out over here, send them into the main. Go down here, send them into the natural. Go over here, send them into the natural. And you want to keep them in a protected place, which the Nidus Canal does that, because the swarm hosts are very squishy, very expensive units to replace. And you can see that these Hellions have found them and will just kite away and get out of there. Roaches being played. Hellbats running around trying to get some damage. You're going to see some more over here. It's looking like an F2 to me. Maybe create a couple of unit groups versus doing that. Because then you would not be split between these two locations. KorWEEEEEZY just transforming right in the face of the spine crawler. Don't want to lose those units if you don't have to. Make sure you run them out and then transform them. Is going to be a little bit better. Nothing crazy. Too much money is floating. At this point, I'd get a couple more factories and make sure that they are reactors, so that way you can spend your minerals because you're very gas starved. Getting a bunch of Hellions, which you have been doing a great job with that and doing some damage about that. No unit. This one SCV is going to throw away all of those swarm hosts. This is why Nidus's network is what you want to do with them. This is a long game, so we're going to go ahead and speed it up a little bit. Nothing really happening. They just kind of clean it up, clean up the units. We're going to slow it down again, kind of look back at what we're looking at. No more drones under production. The 73 workers versus 46 workers. So this is very much in favor income-wise of Boom, other than mules. But that being said, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I wouldn't be too overly concerned. Looks like he's going to snag a Thor. Goes after a tank immediately after that. Not bad, not bad. Hellions and stuff such at the front. Has the correct units in order to stop this. Needs to get in the right place. Probably should have pulled the drones as soon as you saw the army coming across. But I get why you wouldn't. You want to make sure you get that income. You already are fully saturated on all your other locations. And you do have the roaches that are going to defend. And it looks like he's going to do a really good job of defending the 28 kills on that Thor. Oh my goodness. The swarm hosts are up. They're getting ready to shoot off again. Oh yeah. He's got it right before I call it. He's doing really, really well with paying attention to all that stuff. Having tanks kill themselves via using the swarm hosts' locusts is very mean, but exactly what you want to do. All of the Thor army gets picked up, and Boom runs in and starts to pick off the follow-up forces. And looks like it's at this time, KorWEEEEEZY's in a lot of trouble. Boom, again, not producing anything. This is the problem that we talked about earlier. Has all the money in the world, but isn't doing anything. If he were to simply fix that, I don't know if that's a hotkey question. I don't know if that's a I have no goals question. I don't know if that's I want to see what he's doing and then make decisions after that. I don't know what the exact reasoning is. Ooh, these barbecues for some drones maybe? Yeah, they're going to go down. The Queen attacking his own drone. but the barbecue should continue. Eventually, this queen will go down. Miss Micro says move when he should have attacked, so got a couple Hellion shots off on it, ended up losing it. Army up in the front, from what I'm seeing here. That's a big combination of units together. I don't know how I would probably wouldn't have my swarm hosts, the actual units here. I would be keeping them back safe and as far away as possible, because their units are, again, very expensive, very slow, very juicy targets, and there's no anti-air here. So one Banshee, one Liberator, one BC really does a number to this army. And it looks like KorWEEEEEZY is appropriately adjusting to meet that requirement, seeing that swarm hosts shoot their locusts in a big old ball of units, and therefore Liberators AoE can take that out. And if you, and then of course they can't shoot up, so Liberators are great units to make it so that happens. If I remember correctly, they used to shoot up for some reason. I can't. My mind is telling me this, and I can't remember, but it's been, I mean, this game has been out for a long time, and I know that there's a lot of different iterations on things. Attempting to take out the command center using Biles, which is very, very juicy stuff. Lots of tanks, Widow Mines, Hellions, Liberators, all that good stuff. KorWEEEEEZY is very much in a great position at this point. Immediately evaporates a tank thanks to other tanks shooting them, which is just wonderful for Boom here. I love KorWEEEEEZY's positioning here. I'm just going to make sure that I got you. Here's attention. I'm going to be on you. So one of the things I would focus on here, creep spread. This creep spread is not happening. Making sure that if you could get half the map covered in creep, you're going to make your opponent that much harder to get to you without you knowing it's coming. It also means that you have the ability to move faster. All of your units on creep actually move faster. In addition to that, you also have a few other nice little things for slowing down your opponent, because they always second guess their stuff, their decisions. You got two different things going on right here. Kills a couple of Widow Mines. Of course, this is the newest patch where they have that new red line that gets really, really very obvious. Didn't get the barbecue off that it was a lot of drones just hanging out in a straight line. I would have loved that. I'm sorry, Weezy missed it. Lots of queens doing their little queen waddle across, having a very difficult time because there is, no creep. On the other side of the map, Boom is keeping KorWEEEEEZY on 2 bases. KorWEEEEEZY needs another base horribly at this point. I don't know, maybe a hidden base, maybe move half the tanks up. Not all of them, obviously, but it looks like he's doing all of them. But doing like a push forward, setting up your new line of defense to cover this ramp here, and then this choke here. Probably not a bad idea. KorWEEEEEZY is, if I remember correctly, a Protoss player by choice, like their main is. So this is outside of their normal race, so I can't be too harsh on him. You can see he's severely oversaturated, has idle workers all over the place. Obviously, he's going to struggle a little bit with regards to getting the income he needs to continue up his mech force, and of course, gaining new bases and such. Wow, Boom really sent that army right into that big old force. Nidus Network did go down. I don't know exactly where it is, but it did not place anywhere where it could be useful to continue to harass and, again, keep those units safe. Cool little trick, if you place a creep tumor on the ramp where the shadow is, right about here, anywhere that is, you can actually open up vision of the above for the other creep tumors you have, which is one of the reasons that pros have so many creep tumors. Others is because you can accelerate your creep spread that much faster because, you know, it's there. On top of that, you also have much more stuff to kill. So when somebody scans, you're not they're not cleaning up, you know, a screen worth of creep, because they have to clear out a screen worth of creep tumors, not just 1 or 2. So oftentimes builds have a large number of. Ooh, this is interesting. Oh, good engage. Gets the full surround, pulls back a little bit, but still very good engage. All the positioning, catches KorWEEEEEZY out. This is that was really rough. He's going to come in here and that's a planetary. Okay, I could see not wanting to fight there and on top of that. So the vials, I was going to say, make sure you use your vials to kill the workers before you worry about anything else. And then I would not stand in range. You see this tank coming, shooting at you. I would pull these Ravengers back. I would not fight that planetary, where the planetary can actually hit you. The Ravengers have the range to hit it without actually being touched. So a lot of units getting thrown away. Getting a lot of workers, don't get me wrong. I mean, you see he's at 20 versus 78. This is very much Boom's game to throw away. Hellion run-bys, just trying to keep Boom busy. Again, having more creep would make it so all of your units move that much faster, and it would be that much more beneficial long-term. Having defenses at each base is great. I would be concerned. I wouldn't be too terribly concerned after seeing those 2 extra factories for a tech switch into BCs, but be cognizant that the next step for a meching Terran is generally BCs after you have a huge swell of roaches, and they see those roaches, or you do something along those lines. So be just cognizant about it. In addition, since you are maxed out at 200, do things that are going to be making it so you're able to continue the fight long term. This is more of a everybody note versus just this specific conversation. The triple hatchery is actually exactly what you would want to be doing with this, because you're going to be able to remax instantly. You have that much more larvae to interact with. You have that much more stuff, quote unquote. Again, don't fight inside of the planetary's range. Don't fight where you're going to get shelled the whole time. Just good job killing that Liberator with the vials, but just one of those kind of things where you're throwing away kind of expensive units. Ravengers are kind of expensive. They're not super expensive. They're kind of expensive. Other note, speedlings, send them around the map every once in a while just to see what you could find. You could take a Marine, send it around, or a Hellion in this case. Obviously, KorWEEEEEZY is the Terran, and he's going mech, so he hasn't built much bio in a long time. But I would have probably transitioned into thinking about BCs at this point. Or, since obviously he's doing quite well with what he's doing, continue to pressure with it. But he is still stuck in only on these handful of bases, and while his opponent has taken the entire map. Nidus Canal, or Worm, as it's called, placed over by his other side of the base. This isn't a offensive Nidus Worm. It's a defensive one. At least that's the way I look at it. A move. All of these roaches could have killed all of these tanks without even a second thought. And instead of doing that, they're just walking to their death. I cast another game the other day. It was with a player that had just come back again, just like Boom is. And that individual, they were A-moving their army, but they were A-moving in a way that they just continuously got shelled. And eventually, what ended up happening is they ran out of resources on the map, just like we have Boom taking control of the entire map with in this situation, but isn't doing anything to capitalize on it. So the question I have is, why are we not going? I mean, we're getting Hive now. Why did it take so long to get to Hive? Why are we not, when you are maxed out forever resources and your opponent was on 3 base, why didn't we get Hive? Where's the Broodlords? Where's the Vipers? Where's the other pieces that are going to make that occur, where we're going to take the victory over our opponent? We want to force them into a tech tree or a tech path. If they can't, that's going to completely crush everything they're doing, especially since what you'll do is you'll send all your roaches in to kill the Thors while you use the Broodlords to kill off everything else. Again, we have swarm hosts that are unprotected, not in a great location. They are very very expensive supply-wise, and of course just in general. That's why you want to keep them in the Nidus network and use them on cooldown, close to it, so that way you can leverage that investment. That's the words that I would like to use there. KorWEEEEEZY taking the middle of map, the middle portion of his side of the map, doing a really good job of making it so Boom can't really attack. If you look at what was happening, Boom, where's your Overseer? Where's your one little, what are those things called, where you can drop them? The Changeling, that's the one. Why aren't we at 333? Where is, you have so many Evo chambers. Make sure you have a hotkey for them. No Baneling speed. Neural Parasite might be a good idea. He has a lot of tanks. All you have to do is transform one, and he'll kill his own tank for you. And you can do it from a burrowed location. Not a bad choice. But the roaches are very supply heavy unit that isn't going to end up winning you the game generally once they have a tank set up like this. So that's why I'm suggesting going after those Brood Lords or something along those lines, where it's going to be a lot more difficult for KorWEEEEEZY to be able to defend and fight. Good job taking those out. I like the Muta choice. Trying to switch up the tech. Tier 2 tech, but still switching up the tech. Corruptors are also a good choice, because then you can have them out and about and then ready to be Brood Lords versus just being stuck on Mutas. The Mutas should be going around to locations that the Thors are not. If you see the Thors, you do not fight. You run, you go somewhere else. Swarm Hosts should be fighting those. You want to get away from that. You're going to lose every single one of those. Oh no, that is not what we want. The Mutas need to hit in a location that is not where the Thors are. Kills one Thor, loses, I think that was 12 Mutas. Builds a remax of 54 Lings. Also, Ultralisks, great choice. These Lings might be able to get back up on these tanks, but I don't know. The run-by is where I'd be thinking. I'd be like probing, right? What base is he not at? Where can I get these Lings in a location to pull him home, make sure he's done? Not a bad choice, just you got to be cognizant of what your opponent's doing. And obviously with the Hellbats, Brood Lords may not necessarily be the best choice. The Ultralisks, I cannot wait to see these out. Make sure you continue to inject. If we look at our unit count, there are 52 larvae. I am partial to having as much as I can, period. But you don't necessarily have to have it. Also, a move. Make sure your rallies aren't going to send your stuff at him, which you just lost quite a bit there for literally nothing. And you could have taken out... Oh, you're going to do it again. Oh, no. And a drone going the same thing. Oh, no. And he's gotten Cyclones. This is looking more and more dire for Boom as the game proceeds. Speed up just a little bit because they're kind of doing their thing. Pull it back down on speed. I think it's another 9 minutes of what's going on. Again, making sure that you test your opponent versus chitinous plating. Yes, 76 more Lings. I think that's just because you're gas starved. You have multiple gases. Oh my goodness, 35 workers here, but no workers here. You have the ability to grab both these gases, saturate these gases, make sure these gases are filled, and you're not. You don't have any of them anywhere with regards to that. The tank's gonna slow down your army that's coming across. I assume A moving, which is good. I saw them actually engaging. Trying to keep this all in the same view. It's very hard to do that. I can't zoom out on this view for whatever reason. Tanks going down, reclaiming the middle of the map. Not a bad choice. When you saw this fight, you saw that he didn't have anything that shot up, and I see a Muta on the way. This is a great call, where you just, one or two Mutas, a handful, whatever it is, just plucking away. Liberators, so you know he's doing that, so you might want to grab a couple of other more friendly things like Corruptors, making sure that you're able to take that down. Losing some eggs. Those when you pop an egg, it doesn't actually lose them the resources, it gets a cancel. But things to be aware of are just like, oh no, there's no queen here, or it got killed, and you lost a whole bunch of workers. Again, you were oversaturated extraordinarily, and you did fix that issue. You have so many queens that are just hanging out, not actually giving you additional resource or additional pieces. Finally shuts down this base, finding that there is a hole there. At the same time, killing a huge number of mech units that are very, very expensive that KorWEEEEEZY really cannot afford as of right now to rebuild. I think Boom is headed on his way to breaking KorWEEEEEZY eventually by keeping him on only a handful of bases. Problem is that he's got to make sure that he continues to do that. This base staying up this long is going to give KorWEEEEEZY the ability to prolong the game further and further. The not remax, so we hit our units. We have only 13 larvae. I was talking about making sure you're hitting your injects. They kind of let them go. You can hit that spacebar, and it'll bounce you around the map. Make sure you grab all your queens, and you keep doing that. Didn't ever finish our 3-3-3, versus, of course, the mech, which only has 3 attack, interestingly enough. But that differential in damage is sufficient. Nidus Worms, again, being defensive. At this point, I probably wouldn't be looking at Nidus Worms. Also, that Liberator has 27 kills, 28 kills now. Oh no, that's so many. But having queens all over the place, making sure that you have the appropriate units to defend and handle that, making sure you're rebalancing your supply specifically, or your resources, things that you can do, you don't have to do, right? But that would help you a lot. KorWEEEEEZY down to literally the scrappiest of scrappy with resources. Doesn't have another base to go to. Doesn't finish out these pair of refineries. I think the Swarm host did this. Leaving some resources around. Not a big deal. He's attentive. He's hitting his opponent on many places across the map, making sure to be annoying as can be. A Liberator out here starting to get kills. I can see it already happening. Doesn't have the appropriate units to take care of that. A lot of run-bys coming. And KorWEEEEEZY grabbing Cyclones, which are really good against Ultrasks because they could just kite, but eventually you run out of space and you're able to just get into there on top of them and they're just in trouble. Again, shutting down bases, getting into the main, doing what he can to just cause havoc. That planetary is still there, dude. You can't fight that. You don't want to fight that. You can starve him out in other ways. Getting rid of all these tanks is so valuable, but doesn't attack them. Goes after the other base that has another planetary. Oh no, boom. Oh no. I see he's finally decided to add some Corruptors into the mix. And starting to get his 3-3 completed. There's the Corruptor P. Everybody loves it. Loves to see it. I like the spread on the units around for the planetary. That is going to be very helpful for the planetary not actually stopping those units. The P does finish off all of them. Nice job. Liberator's still out here doing painful things, reducing larva count, making sure that base is not useful. All it takes is a couple of queens to attack over there. And then you see whole bases that could be saturated and not being saturated. Liberator still getting kills, 24 over here on the other side. This base I don't think KorWEEEEEZY actually knows is here. Yep. Well, he does now. Hasn't been doing anything with it. You can see all of the fights going on back and forth. The money not being spent because there's no larva, I believe, is the problem. If you check that out, yep, it's 17 larvae. So Wheezy is, I think, going to actually be able to eventually push this down and win the game because there's just not enough larva to handle what he needs to do, and he's letting Liberators go on, making it so that he doesn't have the counter to the specific units that are causing him problems. This one's still killing larvae one at a time over and over. The Queen's not spreading creep, having full energy, not giving us additional injects or anything. No additional rebuild of any Queens. We're in a situation where eventually Boom has been pulled and stretched and is now a little bit tired because all the different activities he has had to deal with. His rally is right into the middle of where KorWEEEEEZY has pushed the forces. He's not picking up his units fast enough to actually get there and make them useful. That's a pain. Ooh, eventually gets Spine Crawler underneath his Liberator with 31 kills, most of which we know is larva, which Boom desperately has been needing. He's down to 12. Oh no, Wheezy should have left it there. I like the Corruptor Queen walk, killing what they can. Wheezy dropping the Mule Hammer. If I could do the income graph, that number would be so high, so much income. Boom still doesn't have level 3 armor, which the Ultras would very, very much like, as well as the roaches that he's building. Roaches walking by, letting the Hellions continue to roast workers. I think that's primarily because Boom is distracted by other things, and that's okay. But you just need to be kind of aware that you're getting yourself in trouble here, not responding in a lot of places. Don't get me wrong, I have the same problem once I get to this many base count and get this wide across the map. It is very difficult to do. There's a reason that professionals get paid, make pay, and then of course are at the level that they're at. There's so much going on, there's so much effort. You could see me just as an observer, just not able to follow all of the action. And I'm doing it at regular speed for the most part. This is a very long video. We haven't even gotten to the analysis at the end where we're looking at things. Again, we're looking at a situation where we could have a lot more Hellions. The gas income is pretty low. Doesn't have the fully saturation of gas. Has a gas that's not done. Literally could just lift this, throw it over here, start getting gas income, things of that nature. If you know you're starving, see where you can find it to get it. As for Boom, I know that he lost a whole crazy slew of workers, and I think he's trying to get himself back on the footing. Spine crawlers are not the units to defend against Hellions. They are there to slow them down, and that's it. Which this is a perfect example of how that's going to happen. Run by happening on that side. The same time that KorWEEEEEZY is over here harassing one of Boom's long stay bases that have been getting him lots and lots of resources. That was KorWEEEEEZY's, assuming you split the map, which is kind of expected when you play in a TVZ. Boom actually defending it effectively, killing a large number of units from KorWEEEEEZY. Still struggling with his income, but we are you're gonna see probably more workers still coming out, and income still stacking back up. Maybe we'll see how that pans out. Again, workers all over the place. You don't have a bunch of workers anywhere. I think he's grabbed. Oh, there's a bunch of idle workers. He just needs to send them to locations that need workers. There's a lot of them. Bases not being defended. Part of the reason that they're not being defended is because he just doesn't have the map vision, doesn't have that creep spread. He doesn't know where his opponent is, and hasn't been using his queens effectively to do things like inject and make sure that he has the spread where his stuff is. KorWEEEEEZY again pressuring the space. There was no more reinforcements, and so I think what's going to end up happening is it's going to fall because there's now a whole bunch of Hellbats and Hellions that are there. Again, rallying into weird locations, not A-moving. This is causing Boom to lose lots and lots of units, and eventually calls the GG, thrown in the towel. What a wonderful game between those two. Just switch us back over to the view where we have all of the information. That is very helpful. You can see that there is some supply blocks. Not a big deal, right? There is some fights that removed the supplies. That being said, to some degree, this is both players just making simple mistakes. It occurs. We know that. There is moments where Boom is miles and miles and miles ahead and is unable to capitalize just due to control with regards to how he is engaging into a planetary. Roaches and Ravengers do win against a planetary, even if it's getting repaired, but you need to know how to disengage and make sure that you're at range when that's occurring. I think that's what's happening with some of this stuff over here. Other pieces that we were seeing is that larva, the good routines that make it so that you have larva, that make sure that you are seeing all of your bases to make sure you're not oversaturated, rebalancing of resources just weren't happening. Simply as a Zerg, you hit the space bar, you go to each base, you inject. You should have a queen on each base. You always replace the queen if they die, if you have the money and it makes sense to do so. When you are also in a situation where you're across the map like that, making it so that you have your creep spread replaced whenever you're in a situation where your opponent is pushing it back, you need to push it back out. So you need to have that contingency of queens to make sure that you have that creep spread. More than one creep tumor at a time is almost always a good choice. Just basically improve the creep spread, and then make sure that when you do that, you also have your queens at each of your bases, so you don't run into a situation where you're running out of larva. Make sure that you're able to remax immediately, and then, of course, get ready to one of the advantages of Zerg is you're able to tech switch very heavily. There's a couple of those in that game. There's a couple of mutaswaps, but instead what you ended up doing was you literally fought the counter unit versus doing things like picking off the units that were being problematic. We're talking specifically around oh my goodness, English. Not going after tanks and hitting up all of the units that are have the anti-air, right? If you had gone after tanks, killed off all those tanks, and then your roach army that you had aside from that, you could have taken out so much. You could have killed more workers. Those mutas could have been the bane of KorWEEEEEZY's existence that whole game. As for KorWEEEEEZY, he did a really good job in a lot of ways. There was obviously opportunities to improve, specifically making sure that he's taking bases a little bit faster. And when he has had his workers reduced, making sure that you use the depth of how you did your siege tanks were good, but you needed to start to pivot so that you could get to the next location. You put yourself in a early game where had Boom just stood on the outside, taking the entire map, he could eventually kill you because you would have been able to. You would have had two bases ever, and that's it, and that would have been really, really challenging to handle. Obviously, you ended up taking the W. Other things that I noticed is that you were not rebalancing your resources for both players. You need to take some of those workers and send them to get gas. Find locations where you have gas that's available, even in your main bases, and doing that kind of stuff appropriately. Overall, I'd say both players do a really good job. Boom is getting better. I can see it based off of his play. He's coming back into 1v1s, and 1v1s is really a totally different monster than teams. And so relearning how to think about the game, how to say, oh, I saw this, I should take care of it. Don't be dedicated to one specific path. So what I'm referring to is in team games, very often what you'll do is you'll say, I'm going to go ground, and you commit to ground. You get all the upgrades, you get all the units, you make sure that whatever you're doing ground things. And your teammates will go air, or they'll go siege units, or whatever they're going to do. And you're going to have somebody that is on your team that's going specifically air with full upgrades, and you on full ground, or vice versa. In 1v1, that's not the case. So you kind of need to be thinking about, when I text switch, or can I control two different groups, which you have multiple hotkeys set up in a way that made it so it looks like you can. I know you can because I've seen you do it. Is that you need to make sure that that it's basically like your air squad and your ground squad, and because you're choosing mutas, they're harass units. You need to be hit and run. You need to find locations where he's not defending appropriately, so on and so forth. Swarm hosts, same concept. Very hit and run. Want to be in different locations. It's great against mech because mech has to be entrenched. If they're sieged and you get all of those locusts on top of stuff, you're killing things, which you did great. You did that often. And you actually made it so that his Thor count was super, super low. And you then transitioned into the Muta. But you need to not fight the Thors unless you need to sacrifice the supply to build up a Roach count or more Swarm hosts or something along those lines. Again, overall, both players did very well. A few little tweaks here and there that I saw, and that I struggle with the same things on a regular basis. So I by no means am saying that they haven't done anything above or below their skill levels. They're in the diamond area, and that's kind of what we expected. KorWEEEEEEZY is playing off race, so I expect him to play lower, and he's, I believe, a Masters 3. He might be Masters 1. It's been I didn't look at his actual personal rank, but his Terran is not his best race, and I know that off the top of the head, so I can't. I'm trying to. I don't want to overly articulate how good he is versus what race he's playing. There's a very big gap there, and it's because it's just different mentalities. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll have a wonderful rest of the day. I'm going to go ahead and